Welcome to our overview on income inequality and mobility. This opening slide frames the conversation visually, showing an inequality gap across global income deciles and a small matrix linking mobility with inequality. Think of it as a map where income is concentrated, how fluid movement between brackets can be, and why that combination matters for policy and long-term economic resilience. This slide clarifies three core concepts we use throughout: income distribution, inequality metrics, and economic mobility. The left panel maps earnings across households to show who earns what. The center highlights measures like the Gini that quantify spread, and the right tracks lifetime movement across income rungs. Together, they create a shared language for diagnosing problems and comparing solutions. Here we focus on the Gini coefficient and the Lorenz curve as a compressed way to measure income concentration. The graphic shows perfect equality versus actual distribution, and the shaded gap becomes the Gini number. We use it because it simplifies complex distributional data, enables cross-country comparison, and is sensitive to shifts in middle-class and top-tier shares, making it a practical tracking tool. This slide breaks inequality into measurable pieces and policy responses. On the left, P90 SARS P10 charts contrast stagnation at the bottom with rapid top gains. The center pie highlights the top 1%'s share in wealth versus income dynamics. On the right, policy options range from minimum wage and tax reform to targeted investments, each aimed at either lifting the bottom or slowing top concentration. Policy and market mechanisms vary across contexts, as shown here. Nordic models use collective bargaining to compress wages and sustain broad employment, while emerging urban giants see skill premiums and wider gaps driven by urban growth. The right panel illustrates how taxes and transfers can have measured inequality without crushing growth, underscoring that smart policy can both mitigate inequality and support economic dynamism. Geography matters. Coastal cities often experience high wage growth and political polarization, while heartland regions face slower growth and disengagement. The slide's map and strategy boxes point to place-based solutions like infrastructure upgrades, targeted education and skills investment, and incentives for remote work to decentralize jobs, all aimed at balancing regional opportunity and reducing political and economic divides. Automation and digital platforms are reshaping labor demand, a fact captured on this slide. Technology increases demand for cognitive and social skills, which boosts top-tier earnings, while routine tasks face wage flattening. The visual flow shows this split and emphasizes the policy response: strategic upskilling, better STEM access, and lifelong learning to broaden opportunity and prevent future income divergence. This slide illustrates how capital returns have outpaced wage growth, accelerating wealth concentration and widening the inequality gap. The left diagram shows diverging curves for capital and labor, while the right proposes interventions to recouple prosperity, broaden employee ownership, encourage venture creation and entrepreneurship, and tax inherited assets to expand participation in capital gains and share entrepreneurial upside more widely. Intergenerational income elasticity captures how strongly parent income predicts offspring earnings, ranging from near zero, which implies high mobility, to values near one, which imply rigid stratification. The slide highlights three policy levers that loosen these constraints: improving education quality, investing early in childhood development and health, and progressive taxation to reduce concentrated wealth and fund opportunity-expanding services. Mobility can be measured in two complementary ways. Absolute mobility asks whether children earn more in real terms than their parents, reflecting overall economic growth, while relative mobility looks at rank changes across the income ladder, showing how fluid opportunity really is. The slide stresses that using both metrics together tells us whether growth is inclusive and whether opportunity keeps pace with structural economic change. Tax policy balances redistribution with work incentives, and this slide maps the available levers. Graduated income taxes, earned income credits, and child allowances reduce post-tax inequality, while careful phase-out rates and targeted payroll relief protect labor supply. The right panel lays out outcome scenarios, showing how design choices affect both incentive structures and the magnitude of inequality reduction. Finally, strategic interventions focus on expanding educational access and aligning skills with market demand to raise lifetime earnings. On the left, universal pre-K, apprenticeship expansion, and affordable higher education widen pathways into good jobs. On the right, funding tied to local labor market data and employer-aligned training boosts productivity and narrows wage gaps rooted in unequal access to quality learning opportunities.